Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists episode 735. My name is Zach.
And my name is James.
We're here to talk about movies and movie obsession and movie lists for the next hour or so, and this time without Kyle, unfortunately.
He's no longer with us.
He's not with us. We hope he'll be with us again, but he's not with us right now.
He should be with us next week.
He better be, because we're going to talk about the Odyssey next week.
Yeah, with or without him, we're talking about the Odyssey.
Even if it takes him 10 years and a long journey to get to us, he better be here next week.
Is that an Odyssey reference?
It is an Odyssey reference, yes.
Okay.
Might have been 20 years. I don't know.
I don't remember if this was on the Patreon or not, but we had talked about me listening to an audiobook on my trip to Louisiana.
Did you pick the Odyssey?
So I downloaded The Martian,
okay,
which was a book you recommended.
Yep.
Got through the second chapter and then I couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
So then I was like, maybe it's just the book. You know what I mean? Like I like the Martian movie, but I couldn't do it. And so then I downloaded Meet Me in the Bathroom, which is a book about like the Strokes and like the indie rock movement of like the early aughts.
Yeah.
Is a book that I've been thinking about reading for like a few years. And I just, I haven't bothered. So I got a copy of that, started listening to it. It's one of those like, what do they call it? Where they interview like 100 people and then they just take like a sentence from each one and like put together a book, like an oral history type of thing. So they would say a sentence and then say the person's name who said it, and then say another sentence and then say the person's name who said it, and then say another sentence. Over and over and over again. I didn't even get through the first chapter on that one because I was like, this is so annoying to listen to. I don't know who decided that's how this should be read audibly. Like just read the sentences and then at the end be like, contributors include blah, 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 or something like that. Because it was insanity to listen to anything like that. And then I gave up.
Now, James, you listen to like, what is it about a book that's different than a podcast as far as like listening?
I think it's like the performance of it. Like podcasts, even if they're like fully produced, investigative, blah, 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 they normally like cut to natural audio occasionally, or, I don't know. There's just somebody reading directly. It's clear that they're reading in their voice. I don't listen to a lot of these, so maybe there are some that don't feel like that, but The Martian felt like that. And Meet Me in the Bathroom was just, it took me a little while to understand what was going on. Because I was like, why are they just randomly saying names? And then they would say a name and then you'd hear other names and then that name would come back. And then that's when I was like, wait, is this like one of those oral history things where like every line is a quote from somebody? That's what it was.
All right.
So I still want to read that book. I think I could read it without being annoyed, but I'm never going to listen to it without being annoyed unless somebody removes all the names. So anyway, shout out audiobooks.
There you go. Well, you tried, James. Let's try again in a couple of years.
If anybody knows any audiobooks that actually sound like podcasts, let me know, because I want that sweet listener or reader credit. I feel like I'm short on my reader credit. Do you think less of me because I don't read books, Zach? Be honest.
I don't think less of you.
Okay.
Although I think I'm trying to form into words what I think about it. I don't think less of you.
Sure.
I think it is a surprising fact about you, given what I know about you. You
Why?
seem like a type of person that would value having read a book.
Here's the weird thing. I do value it. And when people read books and like I know them as avid readers, that does impress me. So I think maybe I ask you in an act of self-reflection. Maybe I feel negatively that I don't read books. But also, I clearly don't care enough to change that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's true.
Otherwise, because I have the capacity to change that. And I've made attempts. This weekend I made one.
You made it a solid attempt.
A half-hearted attempt.
I think there is a big difference, James,
Mm-hmm.
between someone who reads a ton of books.
Mm-hmm.
That's its own little outlier thing. Someone who reads a few books and then someone who reads 0 books, right?
Sure,
and
sure,
so
sure.
more the surprising thing to me is that you're in the category of someone that reads 0 books rather than the category of like a few books, and that's fine. Your interests are mainly in movies and podcasts.
Sure.
So that's more the surprising thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not disappointed in you, James. You certainly have a media diet, right?
Oh yeah. I do read. I just and I'll read like long articles for sure.
Yeah.
I
think if you're talking about like how the medium affects the message, right?
Mm-hmm.
An article, someone might spend a solid week refining and researching and blah, blah, blah. But a book, someone might spend a solid year on. And so as far as like quality, density of information, you might hope that a book is better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not necessarily equivalent in that sense. They're different.
Do you think I've ruined my brain with like TV and movies?
I think
like the idea of investing that much time into something when I can just get it delivered in a different method and like get it faster. That's kind of like where my value system lies when I start thinking about reading versus, I'll just wait.
I don't think ruined your brain. I think all of us are training our brains in directions, right? Sure. And so you have a fine-tuned your brain in certain directions, right? That are very helpful to you. Mm-hmm. But other parts have probably atrophied.
Sure. Yeah, because there was a time, I was never like a big reader, but there was definitely a time when I was reading far more regularly than I currently am. But like the last 15, 20 years, almost nothing.
Here's what I think it is. I think you would prefer, if there was a book you wanted to read, to be able to read it.
Sure.
Whereas like now it's maybe it's gone long enough where like even if it's a book you'd want to read or have read, it would be difficult for you to do. And so get up to a baseline where like, yeah, that's not a big thing. I read 5 books a year and this is going to be one of them.
I need to break the seal is what you're saying.
Yeah. And maybe start with a short one, James. Maybe a real short one. Get an easy win.
I was going to start with the Odyssey.
James, I do have a website they created that lists the most highly rated audiobooks, and you can sort it by how long it takes to listen to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so these are audiobooks that like everyone agrees are like bangers, and then you can sort it by length of time.
Sure.
So I'll send you the link to that.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We speaking of no longer with us, we need to acknowledge Sam Neill passed away, which is very sad. I know everybody points to like Jurassic Park as kind of like his, I don't know, career highlight, maybe, which is fair. That's certainly a very big movie of his. But he was in a bunch that I enjoyed. The Hunt for the Wilder People was like the most recent of movies that I enjoyed him in. He was great in that. Event Horizon is an awesome elevated horror movie from the early 2000s, I believe. I mean, that one is great. It's pretty much the only what's that guy's name? The Boogie Nights guy. What's that guy's name? Paul Anderson, PTA. His doppelganger, Paul W.S. Anderson. It's like the only good Paul W.S. Anderson movie. But have you ever seen Event Horizon?
Yeah.
Event Horizon, that is like peak space horror from the 2000s, I would say. And he's got a bunch more, but everybody loves Jurassic Park. I get it. for sure. But I was bummed to hear that, especially since like I know he went through some kind of cancer treatment. He announced he was in remission. You know, sometimes it doesn't work out how we hope it would, for sure.
For sure.
But rest in peace.
Other
than that, nobody passed away recently. Moving on.
Wow.
Nobody we're going to memorialize here anyway.
Wow. Okay.
Not that I feel like it anyway. What are we here to do though, Zach?
Well, I mentioned to James that I had seen a couple movies in theaters right now, horror movies, and of course, since they're horror movies, James's ears perked up right away. And I believe these are shows that you've already talked about on the podcast with Kyle, but you haven't talked about with me. And you're like, oh, I want to talk about it with Zach. So let's do it. So today we're going to talk about 2 recent films, Obsession and Backrooms.
Yeah. This will be kind of round 2 reviews, which I don't think we've ever done that I can think of.
Right.
Have we ever like retread something months after treading it the first time?
I don't think so. It hasn't been months, but no, I don't think so.
Sure. Yeah. So we're going to do that. But before we jump into that, we need to remind you there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go check it out there. Subscribe and watch while you listen. Also, you could support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists. Go check out our Patreon page. See all the after show episodes that will be available to you the moment you subscribe. Literally 100+ after show episodes, most of which are not tied too specifically down to a time and place. It's kind of our random thoughts catcher, I would say, and most of those random thoughts are evergreen. So if you were to subscribe today, you'd have plenty more to listen to. It's also just not that this isn't relaxed, but it's more relaxed there, I would say, for sure. So check that out. Also, you could leave us an Apple Podcast review. That's free and easy on iOS. Just leave us a review. 5 stars only. We'd appreciate it. You could also send us an email, heyguys@cinereelists.com. Link is in the description for that email, as well as any of the other things I've mentioned. Send us a comment, a question, a list suggestion, a movie suggestion, any of those kinds of things we enjoy getting via email. We will discuss most likely on a future episode of the podcast. Also, you can use that email to get entered for that vintage t-shirt from the 2002 M. Night Shyamalan movie Signs. We're holding a contest. It's a brand new t-shirt from 2002. Estimated value on eBay, $75 plus. Even if you hate the movie Signs, you should enter for the t-shirt and resell it or something. I don't know. Give it to somebody who really does love the movie. I don't know. Here's how you enter. Click that email. Let me know why you deserve to win it. That's it. Could be 1 sentence. Could be 3 words. You could convince me in 1 word, possibly. The point is, and Zach's shaking his head because he thinks this is ridiculous. And so do I. Enter.
James, could they draw a picture? Could that be a submission?
100%. They could take a picture. Even easier. Just take a picture. If that managed to convince me, you get the t-shirt.
Do you accept video submissions?
I would accept anything, pretty much,
but not in book form. If they sent you a book, you would not accept
it. It has to come via email. That's the one rule. So it has to fit in an email. You can't, I mean, you could send me a link to a video. That would work too. But I'm just saying, like, you couldn't mail me a video, physically mail me a video, because that's not via the email. So as long as it fits in an email, gets to me via email, I will take it. At some point, this contest will end. Everybody who's already entered is entered. It's not like they didn't win. I could very easily select one of those people. In fact, I almost already have.
Wow.
But I want a little bigger sample size first.
Wow.
This contest will end whenever I decide to end it. So,
you know what I hope?
Yes.
Whoever wins it,
mm-hmm.
I hope instead of keeping it, they turn it into a trade up project where they then try to trade the shirt up for something more valuable.
Oh, and eventually they get
a house.
A house.
Into the house.
I was thinking car, but man, you were thinking bigger house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope they do that too.
Yeah.
I hope this t-shirt eventually pays for a child's college.
You're a philanthropist, James.
100%. Yep. 100%. All right. So Get Entered. Link in the description. You ready to talk Obsession, Zach?
I am, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. We've already played a clip for this one, but we're going to do it again. We're going to talk Obsession right after this clip. That was Obsession. This is a 2025 American supernatural horror film written, directed, and edited by Curry Barker and starring Michael Johnston, Indy Navarrete, Cooper Tomlinson, Megan Lawless, and Andy Richter. Mostly just them. There's a couple other people in there, but mostly them. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Obsession is: after breaking the mysterious, quote, one wish willow, unquote, to win his crush's heart, a hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at a dark, sinister price.
See, that's a good plot description.
I'm willing to bet Curry Barker wrote that himself.
Why?
Because he seems like he would be actively involved in the marketing of the movie, especially like before it came out. You know what I mean? Like I think he made it on his own for almost nothing. Eventually sold it, and it's blown up to be much bigger. You know what I mean? Than it started as. So I'm willing to bet that he bootstrapped that description from the beginning, and that makes sense because that is not a marketing way of describing a movie. Normally on IMDb, we get the marketing way, which is barely tell you anything about the movie.
We don't like it as much. Yeah.
Yeah. Curry Barker, if you ever hear this, tell me if I'm right or wrong. Did you write that synopsis? So Zach, I've seen Obsession. Spoiler alert for people who haven't listened to that episode. I gave it 4.5 stars.
Dang.
4.5 stars. So
That's a lot of stars, James.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Okay.
Probably that half star isn't there because of some of the content of it just being a little strong, I would say.
Sure.
But let's be honest. I do a lot of talking on this podcast, but this is Zach's week. What did you think of Obsession, Zach?
I mean, I really liked Obsession. It's hard to deny, right? It's kind of a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
There's some strong material in it,
Mm-hmm.
I would say. So you have to be prepared for a little bit of craziness. But as long as you can handle a little the sight of blood.
Mm-hmm.
Undeniably this movie is just really engaging. And it has a lot to sink your teeth into, right? Like there's social commentary that you can talk about and think about. It's got a really it's got a career making central performance with the lady
Indy Navarrete.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that lady.
Mm-hmm.
She shows some versatility. She shows some good chops, and I think she's going to get a lot of work out of this movie.
Do you think it's strong enough that she will get an Oscar nomination for it?
No, I don't.
No. Okay. Interesting.
No.
I think I'm going to call it right now. I think she gets a nomination. I don't think she's going to win, but I think in a world where Amy Madison, was that her name? Madigan? The actress who was in Weapons. She was the older lady in Weapons.
Yeah, I think it's an MM name.
Yeah, she literally...
Mikey Madison or something like that.
No, that's the person from Anora.
Oh, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the person from Weapons, the aunt from Weapons.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
She won last year, and that's crazy that just a horror performance wins.
Okay, I'll take it back. I initially answered the question thinking you were asking me who would win.
No, just a nomination.
She could get nominated.
I think it's very possible she will get a nomination.
I think the Oscars are going to be very motivated to recognize a really small movie that was huge at the box office.
Yeah, not only huge at the box office, huge with Gen Z at the box office. Like, this is the audience Hollywood knows. They have to figure out how to get them in the theaters, not to throw popcorn around when the chicken in the Minecraft movie pops on the screen. You have to get like, normal Gen Zers into the theater on a regular basis, or else this industry is toast in 20 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And not only this movie, but the next one we're going to talk about managed to do that here in the first half of the year. And so the question is, are they going to learn lessons from this that are helpful, or are they going to learn unhelpful lessons that just, bury things?
I think the lesson they're going to learn is like, they're going to hire a bunch of 23-year-olds and give them $80 million to make a movie.
Sure. Way more money than it cost with the breakout movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people that like are maybe less competent to do this at that age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because here's the thing. This movie, for the budget that it had,
mm-hmm.
right, when the age of the creator kind of a thing, you expect it to have so much like, just hokiness, right? Like
mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of student films that are, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't one notch above that. You know what I mean? It was a film.
Yeah. Like, if you hadn't told me this was, a 23-year-old kind of making their first, theatrically focused movie. I know he's released at least one other on YouTube. I wouldn't have guessed that, certainly. This seems like somebody who's been making movies for a while. That impressed me for sure. Since seeing the movie, I've listened to a bunch of interviews with Curry Barker, and he seems very invested in being a theatrical film director. Like, his YouTube career has just kind of been like a training ground for his ultimate goal is to do this. Sure. And I think he's accomplished it at this point. There's a great podcast. His dad is a screenwriter, kind of this is my take. I don't know if he would agree with this, but kind of a, small time unsuccessful screenwriter who has a screenwriting podcast. He, I believe, helped write Obsession with his son.
Okay.
And so there's an episode where he has his son on his screenwriting podcast, and they're talking about Obsession before it was released.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so the perspective that they're talking from is like a little bit like, I hope this works. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of crazy. Some people have seen it. It's getting good reviews, but it's not become a phenomenon yet. So I don't remember what the name of the podcast is, but I'm sure if you Google search Curry Barker and his father podcast, or something, I don't know what you would search, but anybody who wants to listen to it, I'm sure you could track it down. What about the movie did you like? Like, I really like the spin on the idea of like maybe consent, or like the difference between somebody actually being into you or tricking them into being into you in some way. How'd you feel about that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So, I mean, apart from the central performance, which I thought the lady did really great.
Indy is her name.
Mm-hmm, yeah. That lady. I do like all of the different lenses that you can view this on and think about it through. Like, consent is a great one, right? But also like just relationships as well. Like, what does it say about codependency or toxic relationships or one-sided relationships, or just all sorts of things like that, the dating world. Mm-hmm. I also think it's very interesting, this idea of like, okay, so I love the idea of a genie or a monkey paw, right? A monkey's paw. And this one is really interesting because a lot of times where we have a monkey's paw story, it's like they give you what you want, but it's like malicious compliance and they make it awful. Mm-hmm. And this is that for sure. but it leans much more heavy in the we'll give you exactly what you want, and we don't care at all how it affects other people, you know? And I think that's super interesting to explore is he got what he asked for. And now then he doesn't even want it anymore because what he asked for is so annoying that he doesn't want it. And it's like, be careful what you ask for kind of a thing. And I think that's really interesting. And this idea of like, he gets what he wants and he doesn't want it anymore. And now he's stuck with it. And that's interesting. And she's stuck and everyone's just stuck and they all just want it to go away. And I love that like he has a chance to fix it, a plan to fix it. And he's not, again, he's a dirtbag, right? He's not willing to fix it. He's just willing to tweak it, you know? And it's all just very interesting. Lots to chew on. It's really well thought through, you know? It could have been it could have been less interesting.
Yeah, I mean the premise on its face feels kind of well worn.
Right.
But the way that they made all the characters somewhat likable. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely a bad guy here. There's a selfish coward at the center of the story. You know what I mean? Essentially. There's a world where he could have been honest with her, and she seems like the type of person who, even if she rejected him, would be sensitive to that. You know what I mean? And there's also a world where she would not have rejected him. Like there are hints before the wish is made that like she's trying to pull something out of him. She senses something going on here. She's trying to pull it out of him. In my experience, people don't do that unless they want to talk about it for one reason or another. You know what I mean? If they're not into you, you're probably not going to hear about it unless you force the issue. If they ask you, there's probably something to be talked about there. And yet he just can't do it. He can't bring himself to it. And so he takes the shortcut, and the shortcut is awful. He has opportunities to not be selfish anymore, and he just can't bring himself to do that. Also, you said like he doesn't. I think if it hadn't have been so awful for him, that wish would have never been broken. Despite the fact that she has no agency in this.
Right.
And I think that's probably like the bigger moral failing of his character is like he's a pretty selfish guy. Even though he masks as a nice guy, that didn't matter much when he was getting what he wanted.
Yeah. If she wasn't absolutely like insane and obsessive, right? And instead there was just like the once a day 5 seconds where she like snaps back to reality and is terrified, he would have taken that and been fine with it.
100%. Yeah.
Which is horrible, right? I mean, the concept of him, it's so interesting because Obsession is a great title for this movie. It's a perfect title for this movie because he's obsessed with her, right? But he doesn't love her because if he would take that deal, right, he has no love for the person. He just wants it. Like he just loves himself and wants, you know, what he wants, right? Because the person that he supposedly cares about is in like absolute torture. And he gets to see that in little 4-second glimpses, you know?
Yeah. And I think he's crushing on her, right? At the beginning of the movie, he's crushing on her. He doesn't necessarily see her as an individual, as a person. He sees her as like a goal on some level. I don't think he would communicate it that way because he's too, you know, feckless, or I don't know what the word would be, but he doesn't, he just doesn't, he considers her something to be conquered, not somebody who you would actually want their love to be reciprocal from. You know what I mean? Like he just wants what he wants. He's very selfish. And so it takes him a long time to realize that getting somebody in ill-gotten ways isn't really getting them.
Yeah.
And that's probably like the biggest moral of the story. I find it fascinating just after having more time to sit with the movie that this is striking a chord with younger people.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, dating is already like pretty strange these days compared to, before social media and apps and all that kind of stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I imagine, I mean, I've been married for 11 years now, but I imagine that this movie is really resonating with people that are annoyed with modern dating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could imagine that too. Yeah, I think it's more than just like Curry Barker is not a famous YouTuber. It's not like Mr. Beast went out and made a movie.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like the people who are flocking to the theaters are not flocking to it because a YouTuber made it. They're flocking to it because it says something to them. It stars people their age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's relatable, even if it's horrific at the same time. Like the themes are relatable. And I think those are probably the lessons Hollywood should learn. But instead, they're going to learn like, oh, find a young person with a vision who, made a indie short that has a couple 100,000 views on YouTube or something like that. You know what I mean? Throw money at them. Which, again, I'm not against that compared to like throwing money at some washed up, 60-year-old director. Like, what's his name? The Godfather guy, Megalopolis guy.
Sure.
Not to call Francis Ford Coppola washed up, but nobody really needs to give him money to make more movies. We've got our Francis Ford Coppola movies at this point.
And he's got his own money.
Right. He can use his own money at this point to make whatever he wants. For the record, I liked Megalopolis, but yeah. I think the movie is super interesting. I wish it was maybe a little less extreme so I could recommend it to other people to watch who I would be curious their opinion on it, but it gets pretty extreme.
How spoilery are we right now?
I think probably at least this far in, we could jump to spoilers. I mean,
I want to call out one moment.
Okay, well, should we say spoilers before you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is spoilers. So the movie's been out for 2-3 months now. So if you haven't seen it by now, whatever. This is spoilers from here on out for this and Backrooms. Let's just say that for this and Backrooms, both have been out.
Now, James, you've seen some pretty extreme stuff in your day, right?
Sure.
That brick scene has got to be near the top of the heap, right?
It's pretty extreme. The fact that it went on so long made it feel a little comical to me. It was, surprise, horrified, funny was like the emotional roller coaster that took me through. Supposedly they have a longer cut of that scene that they had to cut back in order to get an R rating. And it's literally just like 9 more hits to the brick. Like they made him just cut. And I'm like, what? How does that change anything?
Yeah.
9 less hits. Anyway, the MPA is a mystery to me for sure. Yeah. The brick scene's pretty intense. Just the kind of self-flagellation that Indy Navarrete, performs was pretty disturbing. I don't think I've really seen a character do that in a movie. I've seen lots of movies where people are possessed, but they're very rarely trying to hurt themselves.
Sure.
And I really liked one that's just not a normal horror thing that happens, even in movies where people are possessed or whatever. And 2, it fits so well with the idea of like a toxic relationship and like somebody who's desperate to have their partner do what they want. Like in that scene, she feels like she's losing him, and she is, because she's being crazy. It's his fault that she's being crazy, but she's being crazy. And I've never been in a relationship like this. Knock on wood, that'll never happen. But I know people do threaten to hurt themselves. You know what I mean? To stay in toxic relationships. And so it wasn't just that was involved. It was that was integral to the relationship and the falling apart of the relationship. And yeah.
Well, on top of that, one of the main things that he likes about her is her looks.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she like damages her face, it's like taking away one of the reasons why he wanted to be with her in the first place.
One of the very thin reasons. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, in his head, he's like, well, you've gone and ruined it. Right. You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't want you now. You know what I mean? Like, you've totally ruined it. And she calls that out. She's like, you still think I'm pretty, right? Or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in a different world, the same movie is made, by a different director. Who knows what that would have been, but let's assume it's a lesser movie, right? But the same violent content.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what makes it so disturbing, probably, and why people have attached themselves to it, of all ages, not just Gen Z. It's just, it works because it's not just violence for violence sakes. Maybe The Brick is violence for violence sake. I mean, even that though is character motivated. Like it comes at a moment in the story where it's clear he should be with that other girl. You know what I mean? That other girl is clearly into him. He has way more in common with her. They would make a great match. Instead, he's after like the dream girl, or who he's framed in his brain as the dream girl. And then the second you realize that all the characters on screen realize this, she murders her. And so, the Brick thing on its own is disturbing, but you add all that context that Curry Barker has taken the time to construct very carefully, and it makes it just that much worse. And that's a pattern through this movie. It's like the violence is never not motivated by character progression, and that is difficult to do. And he pulled it off.
Yeah. Now, there were some distinctives in this film that I want to get your take on.
Okay. Hit me.
The backwards.
Yeah, it only really happens once, right? Near the end.
So once where it's like definitely back, like they rolled it back kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's other times in the movie where she kind of is moving backwards. So
Sure.
they foreshadow it kind of a thing in the movie.
Well, when you kind of see the first glimpse after she, goes under the spell and they're kissing on the bed, and she snaps out of it for a second, starts screaming, runs into the corner of the room. There's a little bit of backwards movement in that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I read that as like more recoiling, not literally moving backwards.
Yeah.
Until I saw the movement backwards in the apartment later on, or house, or whatever that was. And then I was like, oh, she's literally recoiling. She's literally rewinding at times here. I'm not sure how much it makes sense in the moment in the house compared to the recoiling in the bed. But I thought it was interesting. It's one of those things where I'm not sure the movie needed it. I think it was doing fine without that kind of visual trick, but it does give you something to chew on in a movie that, like, so far hasn't really focused on that. I was kind of surprised to see it pop up near the end.
Yeah, I did find it a little, like, it's stuck out as kind of an oddity to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it necessarily worked on me, although I don't want to poo-poo it completely, because I've heard it's been very well received and effective for like a lot of people. They're like, for some reason that moment horrified them. You know what I mean? So if that worked for people, then great.
maybe because it's so deep into the movie, and you're at that point, you're very, or at least I was, just very invested in seeing how this plays out. Because you can feel it coming to a head at that point. You can feel like this is nearing the end. And then he throws in a visual trick that the scene you mentioned, maybe others, there has been backwards movement that's way more subtle. But yeah, it kind of comes out of nowhere. What'd you think of the ending itself? Kind of the sequence from when he enters the bathroom to solve the issue himself to kind of the final resolution.
Yeah, so there's kind of two twists right at the end there. The first twist, and this is where you kind of think that it's heading, right? Is that I mean, the movie sets up that he can kill himself and she'll go back to normal, which is what he should do from the very beginning, or have someone wish that it goes away. You know, it was one of the two. He goes to kill himself, and then she wishes that he would love her as much as she loves him. Which is like, you know, poetic justice. And you think that's where the movie's going to end, where they just are both toxically loving each other, and he deserves it. And it's a shame that she's stuck like that, but at least like their, you know, fake selves are happy. But then you remember and realize that, oh, he did just take a bunch of pills. And so despite her wish, he also just dies. And so he does die. And so she is released from her curse. And so that's the second twist. But
and she's left holding the bag.
A little unfortunately for her is like, it doesn't kind of magically, like, it's not like everything goes away and it's all cleaned up and it's great again. No. She's like left with the results of everything, and you know, went through everything, and it's just awful. Like there's no resolution. Like, he's dead, and yes, she's freed from that, but like she doesn't leave unscathed at all.
Well, not only that, but she's sitting on a couch with her dead boyfriend. She's covered in blood. Everybody who he told about the wish is dead. To any outside observer, she murdered her boyfriend.
Oh,
like there's no explanation for this.
Well, she did.
You know what I mean?
She did murder the friend who got $1 billion.
That's what I mean. Like, everybody who knew that this was even a thing is dead. And so there's just no explaining it. You know what I mean? There's just, she's screwed. On top of being like, they don't say explicitly that she remembers all of it, but the fact that you can see glimpses of her when she is, you know, being controlled, I'm pretty sure she remembers all of it.
Yeah.
And so even if she wasn't in a precarious legal position, just the mental toll, who would believe you? You know what I mean? It's just not, she's screwed. He left her holding the bag.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And he is still a coward. You know what I mean? Like, the way you break the spell is you kill yourself, whoever the wisher is. He's resigned at the end that's the only way out of this. It's the right thing to do for her. He takes the pills, then chickens out, tries to vomit them right as she makes the duplicate wish.
Yeah.
So he still dies a coward. He was not going to go through with it and try again to solve this on his own.
Yes. He was unwittingly stopped.
Right. And so it's a pretty tragic ending, I would say.
Oh, I mean, it's a very, very, very dark ending, right? The three of the four people are dead. And then one of them is like, you know, ruined for life.
Yeah. And nobody was redeemed in any way, shape, or form. And the real victim in all of it is way worse off than she was at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just way, way worse off.
You know, the moment of the film that I thought was very unique and surprised me and really good was when he called the phone number on the wish box. and he's talking to just a random bored guy on the hotline on the other end. And then the guy is like, well, do you want to talk to her? And then he just holds the phone out and you just hear her screaming.
Right.
Like that is such just a world building thing, that rabbit hole that is never pursued, but it's super interesting.
Yeah. And it reestablishes the idea that like, this is not something she's actively participating in. You know what I mean? It's not like this was this put her over the edge and she was already thinking the same way he was.
For sure.
She's being controlled against her will consciously.
Yeah. But here's the thing. In relationships, like, it is so common to use manipulation to force people to do things that they don't want to do, or to be people that they don't want to be, and it is fascinating, like that idea of like, would you actually like this person? Like, then let them be themselves rather than trying to control them and decide for them what they'll do and don't do. And and then obviously when she's under the spell, she's incredibly controlling and codependent and like manipulative and all those things. And it's just, and he feels so trapped when he's like stuck in bed and she like won't let him leave or check his phone. It's just, I mean, it's like a different type of horror, it's like a relationship horror.
Yeah. I can't really think of any. I'm sure they're out there where kind of your antagonist of the movie is also your victim. Yeah, I just can't think of any. Like I said, I'm sure they're out there. People who are actually into horror movies, I'm sure could just name some off the top of their head, but I don't like horror movies that much. So, yeah. And you
what about Bob?
That's not a horror movie, but
it kind of is.
How so?
I mean, it's a comedy, but it's a horror movie. It's a horror comedy in that sense.
No, it's not a horror movie at all.
Well, you wouldn't know. You're not a horror fan. So you can't really judge, but
You're right. I don't have much of a barometer for that stuff.
Yeah.
What about Bob is kind of like lost media at this point.
What does that mean?
It's nobody.
I own it.
Do you own it on DVD?
Yeah.
Never went to Blu-ray.
I own it on the highest quality format it exists on.
Seems crazy that like a Bill Murray movie didn't make it to Blu-ray. Right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much over. I don't know if it is currently, but there was a time it wasn't on streaming either. Like you could purchase it and stream it, but there was no. You couldn't even get it on like Tofu or whatever that channel is. What's that channel?
Yeah, I think Tofu is definitely
right. Sounds like a
right.
streaming channel, right?
Yeah.
Fubu? No, that's a clothing.
Forest Bios.
Pluto is definitely a streaming service, but that's not the one I was thinking of.
Anyway. Tubi.
Yeah. What was the name of the vertical streaming service? The one that was like shorts.
I don't remember. Yeah, I know what you mean, but
yeah, I read an article about how that concept is like huge in China, I think. Okay. And they have like social media apps that, not even social media, like pro streaming apps where they're making real content, fully produced content in short form, and it's like just taking everybody by storm. And they're like, yeah, this is going to happen in the United States too. And Quibi, that was what it was called. Quibi was just like 5-6 years too early, essentially. Also, I think short form makes more sense for like people on commutes and at work who are just trying to kill 3 minutes. And Quibi launched during the pandemic. I think that also hurt them. It's just like, like who's going to sit at home and watch fully produced TikTok videos when you can just watch TikTok videos?
Sure.
Anyway, anything else with Obsession that we haven't talked about?
Do you think he will make an in-universe movie?
Like maybe not necessarily a direct sequel, but like another Wish movie?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him. I haven't heard him say anything like that in the things that I've watched. But it made a lot of money. And so I think there will be a pressure to definitely do that. So I wouldn't blame him if that was happening at some point, for sure.
It's made half a B.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I forget the number, how much it cost, but it's it's so good. Tell me if you find this before I do, but I think it's like less than $1 million, $750,000. It has eclipsed Paranormal Activity as the cheapest horror movie with the highest profit margin at this point, which is crazy because I thought that record would never be broken, essentially, because Paranormal Activity was like $60,000 or something crazy low like that. His next movie, Curry Barker, is called Anything But Ghosts. Oh, and I'm reading now, is set in the same shared universe.
Oh, okay.
So his next movie, Anything But Ghosts, stars Bryce Dallas Howard and Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad.
And was it already in production?
Evidently.
Okay. I'm more interested in his third project.
The plot for Anything But Ghosts follows two fake paranormal investigators who eventually face actual ghosts within their deceptive business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds interesting. I wonder if these people saw Obsession and that's how they got a Bryce Dallas Howard on board, or maybe his manager knew that Obsession was pretty good and put in words. I mean, Aaron Paul, no offense to Aaron Paul, but he ain't that hard to get. But Bryce Dallas Howard is generally choosy about her stuff.
I'm seeing that the budget is $5 million, which is definitely a jump, but it's not a crazy jump.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely. Also, the Violet McGraw is in it, who was in the Megan movies. You know, like the violent,
aware.
The horror movie, robot movie. She was also in Ready Player One, which is a movie directed by Steven Spielberg, which is a thing people forget. He directed Ready Player One. Seems crazy.
Right. Yeah.
That he directed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will watch anything Curry Barker makes next. Not sure that plot description does much for me as it stands right now, but if you gave me the Obsession plot description, I wouldn't have seen much in that either compared to what we got. So who knows? We'll see if he can do it again with his sophomore theatrical release.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, I'm sticking with my 4.5. I think I need to watch it again before I can give it any kind of bump up. And I've only seen it the once. What are you going to give Obsession?
I'm definitely between 4 and 4.5.
Okay.
I don't know which one to do. Should I leave it up to you to decide which one I do?
This is a personal decision, Zach. I cannot make this decision for you.
But I wish that you would, James.
Well, too bad. You'll never get me to do it.
Okay. Don't have your consent on that. I will give it 4 for now.
Okay.
Well, that's tricky. I will give it 4 for now.
Okay. Sounds like you liked it.
I did. It's a good movie.
Do you ever see yourself rewatching this movie?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Nice. I think you're a horror fan, to be honest. You only like the good ones.
Wait. So James, you think I'm more of a fan of horror films than you are?
I think you're
Because you would classify me as a horror fan, but not yourself.
I think you're just as much as I am.
You think we're equally horror fans.
Based on your perception of what a horror fan is, I think you're a horror fan.
Well, James, here's the problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem with that. I know you think it's like less than what a true horror fan would have, but
Sure.
on your top 100, you've got like 16 horror movies. On my top 100, I have 1. So
Sure.
that would lead me to think that we're not on the same level. Wherever you want to put the two of us on the spectrum, that's fine, but like not the same point.
I think we're in the same range.
Okay. We're in the same like tier, is
Yeah.
what you mean. Okay.
We both like horror movies. We just like the good ones. The elevated ones. What the one horror movie that's in your top 100? What are we talking? The Shining?
Yeah, The Shining.
Yeah. Maybe like the one anybody would point to as elevated horror. Maybe The Godfather of elevated horror, to be honest.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's like
definitely an early example of
It's
that.
The Shining of elevated horror. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see a version of Obsession that I would not consider elevated, and maybe it's mildly elevated. I wouldn't say this is like hardcore elevated, but it has shades of that for sure. All right, a 4 and a 4.5 for Obsession. Let's move into our next movie for this week. It's another horror movie from a YouTuber. It's round 2 on the Backrooms. We're going to get into it right after this clip.
Every day I go in there and I just try to find out even a little bit more. I map out areas to the best of my ability. And more I'm convinced that nothing in our lifetime, Mary, nothing in maybe all of recorded history means more than this. But I don't understand it. I can't even describe it.
It's like describing a dog to someone who's never seen a dog and then asking them to try it. And now you want me to describe it. And then you'll write it down, and then what?
Mary,
You let me go?
we all want the same thing here. We do. We just want to find out even a little bit more.
What's gonna happen to me, Phil?
That was Backrooms, a 2026 American science fiction psychological horror film, directed and co-scored by Kane Parsons. This is his feature-length directorial debut. It's written by Will Sudik and stars Chiwetel Ejiofor, Renat Reinsve, Mark Duplass, Finn Bennett, and Lukita Maxwell. Pretty much only them, for the most part. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Backrooms: after a therapist patient disappears into a dimension beyond reality, she must venture into the unknown to save him. Now that is a marketing. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, certainly that's a part of the movie, but it's
Yeah.
not the focus of the movie.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it basically tells you nothing about what an actual backroom is, or not that the movie really tells you much about that either, other than like insinuation and, you know, through the eyes of the character and them figuring it out. Okay, so Backrooms. Just to put this on Front Street, I gave this one a 4, slightly less than Obsession, but we're not really here to find out what I think about it. We're here to find out what Zach thinks about it. What'd you think of Backrooms?
I liked Backrooms. quite a
Okay.
bit. I thought it was super interesting. It was like watching like a Charlie Kaufman horror film.
Yeah. I mean, Charlie Kaufman movies are kind of horror movies.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Most of them, anyway.
We don't want to live in a world where the rules are twisted.
All right. Yeah, I can't think of a Charlie Kaufman movie where I'm like, yeah, I could thrive in that world.
I prefer that.
Right.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being in Synecdoche, New York, and like, or what's the claymation one?
Oh no, I don't want to be in that one. Everyone has the same face,
Yeah. Everyone has the same face.
don't they?
Anomalisa?
Yeah.
I don't think they all
Everyone,
have the same face.
no, everyone he sees has the same face.
Does he have face blindness?
Yeah, or something. It's just everyone has the same face.
Interesting. I don't remember. That's through the whole movie?
There's at one point where it stops being the case.
Who wrote Being John Malkovich? Is that also Charlie Kaufman?
I don't think so,
Okay.
but I'm going to tell you.
Because there's a moment in that too where like everybody is John Malkovich. I wonder maybe if it was a theme.
Maybe that's his thing.
Yeah.
Okay, John Malkovich was written by Charlie Kaufman, directed by Spike Jonze.
Okay. So it might be a thing. What's the other? There's another Spike
Anomalisa
Jonze.
was written and directed by Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah, there's another Charlie Kaufman movie directed by Spike Jonze. The one about the writing of the Orchid book.
Adaptation.
That
movie's so good.
But I can't think of any scenes in it where everybody looks the same. Just trying to figure out if there's a theme here.
Sure. I mean, there's two Nicolas Cages.
I feel like we haven't heard of Charlie Kaufman in a while. We haven't heard that name.
The last thing I remember hearing him is I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Was that the one with like the Oklahoma play in it? Remember that? Remember there was a Charlie Kaufman movie where there was like a Oklahoma, like high school performance of Oklahoma.
I don't think that was this one, but now I don't remember. It was the Jesse Buckley movie.
I think it was. I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I don't think he's up to much. It seems. Well, in 2020 he released a novel called Antkind. So he's writing books, evidently.
Oh, he directed a short called How to Shoot a Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a movie coming up called Later the War. Follows a dream manufacturer who begins creating nightmares for people.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm Thinking of Ending Things, according to Wikipedia. Throughout the film, the main narrative is intercut with footage of an elderly janitor working at a high school, including scenes in which he sees students rehearsing Oklahoma. You don't remember this Oklahoma thing throughout that movie?
No, I don't.
You didn't like that movie.
No, I don't remember what I thought, actually. Kyle didn't like that movie.
Okay.
He's got a Jesse Buckley chip.
No, he likes her now.
He does?
Yeah, because I told him to watch Wild Rose, and it turned him around on Jesse Buckley. Wow. Full 180. He even likes I'm Thinking of Ending Things now.
Oh, wow. Full 180. I gave this a 4.5 stars. I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
I gave it 4, so you liked it slightly more than me.
Yeah. You were too hung up on the Oklahoma thing to really appreciate it.
Yeah. Also 135 minutes, just far too long.
Yeah, you hate length of films.
I don't hate it when it's justified. I'll sit down and watch all 3 Lord of the Rings extended editions in the theater in the same day. So it's not a length thing. It's a justify every moment on screen thing.
Sure.
Or else I'm going to call you out on it. Whatever that means.
Yes.
Anyway, why are we talking about Charlie Kaufman again? Oh, because Backrooms has like a little bit of a Charlie Kaufman thing going.
Yeah.
Okay. What else did you enjoy about Backrooms?
Um, I Backrooms is another one that I think is really interesting, right? And again, like the kind of conversations it brings up, the speculation, it invents a new universe.
Mhm.
Um, that really is endless. I mean, you could mine this well for a while. This feels to me like prestige TV from 10 years ago,
Mhm.
in a sense. Like this would be like 7 seasons of Lost. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And we got season one and the cliffhanger at season one.
Sure.
And I'll be shocked if they don't adapt this into a TV show.
Oh, interesting. You
'Cause
don't
it
think they'll just do more movies on this? You think they're going to go
well,
full TV show?
they might, but this seems like an HBO Max TV show,
Mhm.
you know? And possibly that's a little bit because like this, I mean, heavily reminds me of Severance.
Yeah. Well, I think Severance took
Well, that's yeah.
inspiration
this
from
predates
the
it.
internet meme. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, it depends on how much Zoolander is paying attention to the obsession memes when he's creating Severance. But
Well, I think the idea of like liminal spaces, they existed before kind of the famous photo that inspired the internet meme.
mhm,
Like the idea of like kind of a labyrinth of walls that feel familiar yet have no decorations on them type of
yeah,
thing. That is something that has existed in movies before. It's not necessarily the main thrust of movies before.
yeah. I honestly think the pandemic is what gave it a supercharged jumpstart
For
because people
sure.
were seeing New York City with deer walking around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the idea of like these are places that were designed for people to exist in, and yet we've abandoned them for one
Yeah.
reason or another. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just an inherent mild creepiness to that idea. I recently, just today, was linked to a website called Abandoned, where they like catalog all these abandoned places. And it was this one that was somewhere in Massachusetts or something like that, where young women from like the 30s through the 60s would go that had like learning disabilities. So their
Okay.
families would ship them off to this place. It was a mental institution, essentially. And they would be put to work in fields and all kinds of other things. And the photos are pretty horrific, but it's really just like photos of empty classrooms and,
Sure.
empty hallways, like
Sure.
clearly institutional,
Yeah.
a place. And then you're scrolling through the photos and then you hit one that's clearly a place where they cremated bodies. And like the bins that they store cold storage bodies in. And it's like, why would that need to be on the property? Because literally like somebody would die and they just took care of it right there on the property because the families didn't care. They just sent their kid off. So by the late 60s, they no longer used the property for that, and it had transitioned it into other things because people decided, yeah, you probably shouldn't ship your kid off no matter what issues, quote unquote, they have. Anyway, but just the idea of looking through those photos of like a place that was clearly lived in that has a history, the photos just kind of insinuate what might have happened here, good or bad. Backrooms plays on that idea that this kind of feels like your grandparents' basement in a weird way, but it's also not.
Obviously, I wouldn't admit anything online,
Mhm.
and so instead, I will tell you about a dream that I had
Okay.
where there used to be a theme park in Orlando called Splendid China. Do you know that?
Yes. I do know of it. Yes.
So in my dream, my friend and I snuck in after it was closed
Mhm.
and just wandered around like a dilapidated Splendid China theme park and took a lot of pictures, and it was awesome.
In your dream, was it creepy?
Parts of it were super creepy. I mean, just
Okay.
like broken and like, graffiti and like just super creepy.
Okay.
Like especially indoors when you went
Sure.
into areas.
In your dream, do they have what's the word? What's the legal term for when a crime has happened but enough time has passed where you can talk about it
Statute
publicly?
of limitations.
Do you have statute of limitations in your dreams?
I
think you pretty much reached it.
Yeah, I don't know what the statute of limitations are.
Okay. All right. Fair
If
enough.
it's 7 years, then yes. If it's 20 years, then no.
I mean, for basic trespassing, I'm pretty sure it's not like a life type thing. I'm pretty sure it's the minimum.
Sure. Yeah.
But
what about if you took mementos?
I mean, even that, I bet 7 years, depending on the value of those mementos.
Yeah,
I would guess.
Yeah, if
But
it
this
was
is all
part
in
of the
your
Great Wall
dreams.
of China.
It's all hypothetical.
In my
so.
dream, I took part of the Great Wall of China.
Okay. That somebody had abandoned, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, and they bulldozed it a couple years later.
The Great Wall pieces and everything, they just bulldozed it. Huh?
But anyway,
I never went there. Although I feel like I moved here, it opened, and then like a few years later it had closed, and I was like, oh, okay. That was pretty short-lived.
Yeah. Okay, Backrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I like the performances. I like the creepy world. The star of the show is the art direction. Like all the people that got to create the furniture and like decide what goes in the rooms must have been having so much fun.
Yeah, because it's kind of a blank canvas here.
They need so much variety, that I'm sure they're just like, okay, make this room weird. Go, you make this room weird, just whatever. We don't have time to approve it. Just do something. You know what I mean? They honestly could have pushed it more. It felt a little bit like it stayed too much the same for too long. Like it could have gotten, incredibly strange. But
I think
it was subdued.
I think they did that on purpose because it's not weird for weird's sake. It's weird because the computer behind this, the monster behind, who knows what it is.
The consciousness behind it is
it's
the memory
misunderstanding normal things.
Well, yeah, I think it's this idea, right, of like every time and this is true in real life, like neuroscientists have confirmed this, every time you recall a memory, your brain is rewiring the memory and it's slowly changing every time you remember something.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's essentially what is happening. Like it's becoming, and so, yeah, it's not getting weirder and weirder. It's getting less and less tied to reality.
The reality of the object. Yeah.
So probably the end game is like blank white walls rather than like,
because it's fully forgotten why anything exists. Yeah. I also think that's true. And I think that's baked in for sure. I also think there's an intentional commentary to the idea that when something that's not human is attempting to understand something that is kind of inherent for humans to understand, they can't fully grasp. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to go fully into the AI discussion, but the when you explain something to an AI, it can understand generally what you're looking for, but it currently can't understand why. And if you give it enough time, it'll remember shades of that, but it won't really, it has no purpose for why it did those things. It just has a set of instructions, essentially.
Yeah. It's so easy to forget that it doesn't process information at all how we process information.
Right.
Like not even a little bit.
It simulates it back to us so we can understand its thinking, but it's not thinking like us.
At all.
Right.
Yeah, at all. And yeah, in this movie, it's so interesting that this phenomenon came before AI, and then yet this movie speaks so much to AI, even like with how things looked, right? Like
Mhm.
it makes you think of like AI images from a year ago where there's too many fingers or, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's super interesting. And then the central idea that like this guy has warped his own perception of the world and himself, right?
Mhm.
And so he is telling himself a narrative about his life, his wife, his work, all these things. And it becomes recursive where it's like he is trapped in his own false narrative that he's telling himself.
Hmm.
And the more he accepts his own lies, the further removed it is from reality until it consumes him,
Mhm.
literally. It's just very it's great. I love movies that are like metaphors or allegories, or I think they're so
Yeah.
interesting.
Towards the end, when it becomes clear that he's actively choosing to stay in the back rooms because it's this like kind of uh horrific reality. Most people from the outside would see this as horrific. To him, it's more comfortable than real reality, because real reality, it's harder to square how he wants to be viewed or how he thinks uh, life should be versus what he knows the reality of it is. You know what I mean? Like the reality of it is he knows that the things his therapists are telling him are true. That he is an angry guy. That he is, that his worst faults, he exacerbates them rather than fixes them, and that makes him uncomfortable. But in the back rooms, his worst traits are over there in the corner, and he feels like he can manage them there.
Yeah.
And he kind of does until somebody
doesn't.
who
Yeah.
knows him very well comes in and challenges it again, and then it falls apart.
Yeah.
And also, I think he subconsciously knows that his faults hurt other people, and if he stays in there, they won't. And then his therapist follows him in, and his faults hurt her. It follows him no matter where he's going to be.
Yeah.
I also love, I want your opinion on this, the design of that monster at the end.
I wouldn't say I'm in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
I had no issues with it.
Okay.
What did you love about it?
I loved that it was I couldn't tell if it actually wanted to kill her or if it was reaching out for help and didn't, just like the Backrooms, didn't understand fully how to do that or what that means. You know what I mean? Like that. It's intended to look like a distorted, tortured version of him.
What
And-
is a
yeah.
distorted, tortured version of him.
Right. And it's chasing her around. She's clearly scared of it. It bit her. You know what I mean? Right? Doesn't it bite her? It's been a
It
while.
bites
since I've seen
him.
that.
I don't remember what it does to her.
Right. It bites him. And that's her cue to run, basically, is that he clearly doesn't have this under control.
I don't think we see her die. We just see her dead.
Right.
It like
Yeah.
cuts to her dead. Oh, no.
Right.
It doesn't even cut to her dead. It cuts to her as like a former version of, like a recursed version of her
Interesting.
with her like face messed up or whatever.
Gotcha.
I don't know if we saw her die.
I don't remember. I need to rewatch Backrooms for sure. For some reason, I remember nearly every second of Obsession, and I like Backrooms quite a bit. But
Well, Backrooms is twice as old.
you mean from a release date perspective?
Yeah.
That could be too. Yeah, I liked the idea that in both these movies, the villain is not just a ghost, a guy who was drowned when he was young and is now taking revenge on all young people. You know what I mean? Or a demon from hell who visits you in your dreams. These are fine horror, motivations for classic horror villains, but they're in these two movies specifically, the horror aspect is far more intricately motivated, and kind of the big bads in both situations are conflicted characters who, on one hand, like an obsession, wishing that somebody would reciprocate your feelings, totally natural human instinct. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. Wishing. Forcing somebody is where you go wrong. In Backrooms, wishing your worst qualities, you had them under control so they would no longer hurt yourself or other people. Totally healthy, natural thing to wish for. Hiding yourself in order to make sure that doesn't happen, or separating yourself from the rest of society, makes them even more destructive. And so I like that, like, these are things that are thought through. They're not just like reasons for people to be scared at the movies. They do accomplish that, but there's more to this. I actually I feel like Backrooms is a movie I can recommend to most people. There's some extreme stuff in it, but most of it's dread, suspense,
Right.
That type of stuff. It gets a little crazy at the end, but nothing I think your average person couldn't handle. Whereas
Obsession's the more intense movie.
it's just, I can't recommend that to too many people unless I know that you're cool with the brick scene, some of the other things in it.
Yeah, that scene almost got them NC-17.
Yeah. Also, just like the visual design of Backrooms, it's kind of shocking how close it hews to the YouTube videos, which I've seen a couple of those and they never really did much for me. But for some reason, having real walls and like real actors creeped me out. How about you? Were you creeped out?
I wasn't creeped out. I would make different decisions than some of these characters did in the movie.
Okay. What would you have done?
I would have been much more reluctant to continue into the Backrooms.
Continue deeper.
Yeah, for sure. I loved the wall that you could just walk through, although the visual didn't do it for me. Yeah, it was 10% less than I needed for like a realistic.
You wanted more like the Matrix mirror where you stick your finger through it and it like.
Oh no!
bends.
No! I certainly did not want that.
Okay.
I wanted it to, in no way, bend. Right. I wanted to just pop through it, but visually, it didn't look to me like in my mind it looked through if you could just walk through a wall. It looked a little bit 10% faker than that.
Interesting.
Maybe I needed more shadow on the wall or something like that.
Like once you actually step through it, there should be a shadow.
No, not that. But like I feel like there wasn't enough shadow when like the part that is still there was not shadowing enough. I don't know what it is. It just felt it wasn't quite what I think it would look like in that scenario.
Sure.
But I do very much appreciate that he walked through the wall. Also, when I was going through the Backrooms, my hand would always be on a wall looking for another fake wall.
Oh, you would assume that there's other entrances and
I would.
ways to get out.
That could be wrong, but that's what I would be assuming is like, what are the other fake walls that go to other places? Can we talk a little bit about Mark Duplass's character? That's where the world gets a little bit bigger, but I also don't know if it fully follows the rules.
Okay.
So like, how do you interpret Mark Duplass's character? Like, is he stuck in the Backrooms?
So when we talked about this previously, you weren't on the episode, but it was Kyle and my son Zach, and he had watched all the Backrooms YouTube shorts from the same director, from Kane Parsons, and he explained that there's like a ton. Basically, this story that takes place in the Backrooms is a separate story in the same universe. So these characters don't exist. Chweddle and Reinsve are not in the YouTube videos. So this is like a separate story. In the YouTube videos, there's this government organization that has found entrances into the back room scattered across the globe. And so they're trying to figure out a pattern as to why they get placed at certain places, and they go in their like full hazmat suits and like explore these places, and they haven't been able to find any patterns really here that would explain why it exists or why it exists where it exists type of thing. And so that's his character. He works for that government agency. Some of the things that are in the back rooms they've placed there just to see how the back rooms respond to them over time. And so the security cameras that are in there at one point, those are placed there. Normally, if you see a security camera, it's pointed at that standee of the caveman. They've placed those. You remember at the end, they walk by a room with like a bunch of those caveman standees.
Yeah.
And they also placed the recording that plays next to the caveman. That recording is evidently the same recording that we sent into space in the 80s to like, contact aliens or whatever. Sure. And so the assumption is that they think maybe aliens placed this here, but supposedly the YouTube series hasn't gone far enough to really answer any of those questions. So I think he is just kind of a nod to the idea that this is a bigger story than just this slice of it, the movie version. And I think they're also positioning on some level that they're going to continue this clearly, cinematically, and that there will be more from these groups of guys that study the backrooms themselves. What I'm curious is like, so if we talked about the idea of the backrooms kind of being a copy of a copy from an entity that doesn't really understand the thing to begin with. So the kind of like mutilated, worst version of him, the tortured version of him, that's a copy of him too, right? Yeah. That the backrooms created.
Yeah.
Do you think it does that to everybody when they go down there? Or just like you stay long enough and it copies you?
So I think there's two possibilities here, and I'm not sure which one in the movie is claiming, right? Mm-hmm. Either anything that goes into the backrooms essentially will always be a part of the backrooms. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you've entered it, that data gets entered, and then it will recurse forever in random ways, right? So that's one possibility. But I do feel like the movie showed a couple times where things that had never entered the backrooms was reflected in the backrooms. Mm-hmm. As I think towards the end, wasn't there like I forget what like a street sign or something that we know was outside the backrooms?
Well, not only a street sign, but there's a full neighborhood.
Yeah,
in the backrooms.
Right. So I think instead everything exists in the backrooms. Mm-hmm. It's so enormous, right? It's like orders of magnitude larger than our universe, right? And so every part of our universe can have an infinite universe of its own within the backrooms, right? Kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. But I think the idea, and maybe this is more along with the metaphor, is that all of us live trapped in our own flaws and vices and addictions. Mm-hmm. And we all are in this place that we can't escape, right? That is, breaking us down, devolving us like internally. I think that's the idea.
That makes sense. So some of the things it's not necessarily that the backrooms came in contact with something and it made a copy of it. It's that it knows everything that's in the world. It just has reprinted some things so many times it's no longer visually represented, but other things are.
No, or primarily we are seeing his part of the backrooms.
Gotcha. So since it's in his store,
yes,
this is his section of the Backrooms, but maybe
Right.
it changes based on the location,
I would assume.
what gets duplicated type of thing.
I would definitely think that's the case.
Right.
We just don't have enough to know, I think.
Sure. There's also theories that the woman in the kitchen scene, the one with the crazy face, is his wife.
Yeah. I mean, she had red hair,
Mhm.
and we know his wife had red hair. I've also heard that she's the woman in the picture right outside the Backrooms.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
There's a picture of a woman outside the Backrooms,
Okay.
and it
Like
could
in the
also be
basement
her.
area?
Yeah, I
in
think
the
so, yeah.
downstairs area? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. The case for it being his wife I thought was interesting, because in that scene his therapist comes in, he's explaining to her like, I like it down here because I can't hurt anybody, essentially. Can't hurt myself, can't hurt anybody else. This is great. You should stay, basically what he's saying. She's creeped out by the motley crew in that kitchen scene with him, rightfully so. And he's like, you don't have to worry. I have them under control. And you find out earlier the dude has anger issues, right? They don't explicitly say it, but because of the way he talks to his therapist in doing an exercise and like anger control and stuff like that, he's clearly somebody who can explode on somebody. He can, talk intensely. And so the woman who has the messed up face, if that is his wife, she's cool until the monster version of him comes in the room, and then she freaks out and runs into the corner of the room screaming bloody murder.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the nice version of him she's cool with, but the moment the monster walks in the room, and there's like 3 Motley Crue guys in that room, she's the only one that freaks out when that monster walks in. The other 2 seem cool as cucumbers.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only one that runs. So that made sense to me. I'm curious to know if maybe the woman on the wall is his wife as well. I don't know. It might just be just a random copy of a copy of a copy in there too.
Yeah. I
don't know. It seems significant though that she's the only one that freaks out at sight of the monster walking in the room. I kind of want to know the explanation for the little person though.
Yeah, that one, it's not given any type of backstory to anything, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything for him.
Yeah. Did you hear they re-released this too, like last weekend or so?
Sure. I didn't, but
they re-released it with 15 extra minutes.
Whoa. That's significant.
Although I'm not seeing anything on the Wikipedia about the re-release, but I know they I don't remember. Supposedly
July 24th.
Okay, so they haven't. They haven't. And then I read that it's more of kind of like the plot points that we've been talking about a little bit, the extended universe stuff. So I'm curious to see that. Honestly, I'm curious whatever else he wants to release. I'm into this. I think if he's careful, there's a lot to explore here that I think could be super interesting. I've watched kind of the famous Backrooms viral clip, the one that kind of started it all, that broke everything out, and like I honestly don't get it. Like I it's one of those things that I saw and I was like, that's a young person thing. I don't understand why people care about this. So the most impressive thing to me is that the same guy that made that clip when he was like 14, 15 years old is now like 21 and has turned it into like an allegory that a 48-year-old is like, I'm down. Let's do more of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he managed to find meaning in something that is pretty meaningless, in my opinion. It's just kind of an aesthetic to spook people with. And he gave it like some kind of psychological weight. That's the most impressive thing in the film for me.
Yeah.
You might say he elevated it.
Yeah, I can't wait for your birthday to roll around so that I can give you a elevated horror TV shirt.
Elevated horror. Does that exist?
No, I'm gonna have to
Okay.
create it
All right.
just for my dream to come true.
Sounds good. Anything else with Backrooms that we haven't touched on here?
No, it's super good. I did like Obsession slightly better. I think Obsession is a little bit tighter. Backrooms, it doesn't
It's a slow
have
burn.
enough propulsive force, and then it does certainly turn a corner. You know what I mean? But Obsession, I think, is more consistently building.
That was generally my opinion when comparing the two, is that I feel like Backrooms has two quote unquote exciting scenes. When that guy goes down the sloped, box to the lower level.
Oh yeah. That was great.
That was good. And it was like a little bit of action break there in the middle. And then the finale. I feel like it needed a third somewhere. It needed one more moment of action where people are running, trying to get away from something.
Yeah.
I think it probably would have felt a little less slow burny than it did. Whereas Obsession just kind of never lets up through the whole movie. So, all right. I gave it a 4, Zach. What are you going to give Backrooms?
I'm torn between a 3.5 and a 4.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, I would give this a 3.75 and Obsession a 4.25.
That's not allowed.
Yeah, but that's my most accurate score. So I'll give this a 3.5.
Okay. So a 3.5 and a legacy 4 for Backrooms. Good movies. I like horror movies. They're pretty good.
What do you think has a higher ratio?
Mm-hmm.
The number of times you admit to liking horror movies, but then have to say they must be elevated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or the number of times these movies are mentioned in the same breath of saying how old the director is.
You mean like in total or by me?
By ratio. No, I just feel like anytime these movies are talked about, like they're always like, and he was 20.
Yeah. Well, I think that's definitely a talking point from the promotion of the movie for sure. I think it's kind of like I don't know. Would you, if you were 20 and you made Backrooms and everybody was making a big deal about you making it at 20, would you feel slightly insulted by that?
Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah.
I think I would too. He seems like the kind of guy who doesn't really care all that much. Not that he doesn't care at all. He just doesn't seem like he cares about the approval of other industry people. Same with the other guy. I think both these guys are kind of like they've forged their own path. They seem very confident in what they're doing. They're glad other people like it, but they're on a path, whether this is going to be successful or not.
Are we past the point in time where Marvel is trying to snatch these people up? Like, is that all done now?
I don't know, but that is kind of one of my fears with either of these guys, is that they're going to be thrown an opportunity and a lot of money to, jump to some IP that needs rescuing or something like that. And if they took that, I wouldn't hold it against them, because anybody throws life-changing money at you in your early 20s, you should probably take it, even if it's not exactly what you want to do. But I would hope Marvel and Lucasfilm, and to some extent DC, has learned from the last 5-6 years of, I don't know, insane release schedules, that this is no longer working. The fire hose needs to slow down for people to care about these things again. And I think Lucasfilm, they've taken that note. They're trying, maybe unsuccessfully, to build some steam back. We'll see how. There were reports that came out today that the next Avengers movie, the one they're kind of hinging on to get Marvel back on track, is in trouble in the edit. And that the directors are privately the same directors that made Endgame and the movie before that, the part one that I'm drawing a blank on, aka the biggest money making movie in the world. Those are the guys who are having a hard time in the edit of the next one.
Interesting.
And so they're trying to reproduce the formula, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'd like nothing better than for Marvel to become a one movie a year thing.
Okay.
And for them to do proper decade-long buildups to big movies. That's why it worked the first time.
Yeah.
Forget decade. It took them 12 years to get to Endgame. They're trying to duplicate that in 6. I don't see it working. There's just not enough momentum here. But we'll see. I wouldn't be shocked, though, if they found some young YouTube director and pulled them in just so they can market the fact that to Gen Z that, hey, we finally made one for you guys. You're tired of this? Your dad made you go see all these movies when you were a kid and you're sick of them? Well, we got a new one for you. It's directed by one of you. But I'm not sure that's the lesson here, though.
Right. Yeah.
But
we've been waiting 40 years for Hollywood to take the lesson that we want original screenplays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can wrap them in IP, but make it good to begin with. Don't start with the IP. Start with the story.
Yeah.
And then if you must, you can wrap it.
Yeah.
Also, like, not to turn this into Marvel chat, but they literally took the best Marvel story and made that the first one they told. Like the Thanos story is like the best universe-wide Marvel story they have.
No.
Yes.
It's one of them. But Crisis, the anti
Crisis on Infinite Earth or whatever it's called. It's not the same as Thanos.
I would say a lot of people
Secret Wars, not the same as Thanos.
I would say a lot of people would put those on the same par.
I don't know. From like we'll see. I hope they can pull it off. I definitely Crisis on Infinite Earth I don't really care that much about, but Secret Wars would be cool if they could actually pull that off, but they're on a trajectory to not pull that off very well. Yeah, I wouldn't have started with Thanos. Thanos could have been like a 30-year project in that universe. And it definitely worked out for them. I mean, they got they got a huge movie out of it.
They didn't do anything wrong with the Thanos thing. They should have done exactly what they did. Right. It's just they messed up the second thing they did.
Yeah, they should have stopped at Endgame and taken like a 5-year break and then trickled in some stories and seen what, you know what I mean? Kind of like restart it, give people a little break and then restart it. And instead they not only flooded the cinemas, but they flooded Disney TV with Marvel content. And it just was too much for people to keep up with and also wasn't very good.
Yeah. Which is what Star Wars did as well.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't do that with Backrooms. Although the Backrooms guy is like, I'm still making YouTube videos. He's like, between now and whatever else I make, it's making YouTube videos about this. He's still into it, which is cool. All right. That was Backrooms and Obsession. Thank you for joining us for this episode 735 of the Cinereelists. If you're a hardcore listener of the podcast, let us know if that was fun to hear some relatively recent movies revisited by one of us who missed it the first round. I enjoyed the discussion. We talked about some things that Kyle and I didn't talk about for sure, which is good. Also, don't forget, there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Check it out there. Support us on Patreon. Leave us an Apple Podcast review or send us an email. Try to win that vintage t-shirt from the 2002 M. Night Shyamalan movie Signs. Links are in the description of this episode for any and all of those things. Also, you could follow the podcast on social media on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook at Cinereelists, or follow me on my personal Blue Sky or Letterboxd account at YoJRB.
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaubin.
We will be back next week, hopefully with Kyle. Happy belated birthday, by the way, Kyle, if you're listening. He's what, 47 now?
No, he's 43.
43. Okay. Yeah, so Kyle will be back to talk with Zach and I, The Odyssey, directed by Christopher Nolan. You know what I've had an itch to rewatch lately?
What?
Tenet.
Okay, great.
Because I didn't like that movie that much.
That's a good movie.
And I feel like if I watched it now, knowing what I know about it, which is having seen it once, I think I could enjoy it more.
Interesting.
I was just kind of confused by it. Also,
Sure.
I don't remember. I know you saw it in theaters, but I don't think I did. I think I watched it at home. Because that was like August 2020. That was like, you know, the heat of the pandemic for sure. You remember watching movies in movie theaters with masks on?
Yeah.
We actually did that crap. I don't regret it. That was a crazy time.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't have to do that on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. So your homework is go check out The Odyssey. Meet us back here. We'll have a big old discussion about it. We'll see you then. Keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.